But now it's time for expert. Okay.
Oh wow, that's gonna be.
These are multiple rows per option.
Okay.
When does the speaker have to call an extraordinary election?
Extraordinary election, like with fairies and stuff. It's
I don't know.
super special.
1. When the king requests one.
Oh my goodness, that is extraordinary.
X. If the speaker fails 4 times in succession to obtain the Riksdag, parliament, approval for a proposed prime minister.
Oh, for the prime minister. Okay.
4 times in succession.
Yeah. So there is a proposed prime minister, because I thought we just said that the prime minister.
Yeah, but the prime minister is part of government.
Yeah. So the prime minister has to get the government so that they can vote him as the prime minister, so they can be the prime minister.
Yeah. So they said earlier here they have to approve government, right?
Yeah.
And that includes the prime minister.
Right. So the role isn't essentially officially.
It's not fixed. No.
Fixed until the government.
Because what happens then?
There.
Apparently, if he fails 4 times in succession to obtain the approval of.
I mean, theoretically, this is a question we don't know yet.
Yeah, if that's the case.
If that's the case, but I need another answer.
Number 2, if a majority of members of the Riksdag vote in favor of calling an extraordinary election.
Okay, so there's any challenge, we don't know what challenge, but there is some type of challenge. We can't get a prime minister, we can't get this or that. What was the first one? When
the king requests one. But we also don't know exactly what an extraordinary election means. But since it says election...
It sounds like something you would say afterwards. Like, this election was extraordinary. If the speaker fails to...
If there is 4 failed attempts...
4 failed attempts...
At approving a prime minister.
Then either maybe there is an extraordinary election, or maybe then the speaker says to the parliament, okay, fine, can we just do an extraordinary election? But if they then say no, then what happens? Then they just sit in the parliament and look at each other all day.
I mean,
so
it seems...
I'm going to say the speaker, I think. I'm going to say speaker, 4 attempts, extraordinary election.
That is the correct one.
That makes sense.
It seemed a little bit too easy for the king to be able to be like, hey, yeah, we're gonna have a re-election.
Probably no. Everything that the king is mentioned in the answer is probably not the right answer, I'm gonna say.
I mean, that is probably why we're gonna get one of those later, probably, or something.
One of those what?
A king question, maybe.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, of the 349 seats...
Unless the question is something like, who named the royal Skagen?
Yeah.
Or something like this.
Who
appointed the first maestro to the royal opera? The king. Something like that. That can be the king. Anyways, I'm ready for my next question.
Okay. Of the 349 seats in an election, how many of those are adjustment seats?
Oh, what's an adjustment seat?
I don't know.
Filler. Just filler. Like they film them with VFX. Like in stadium scenes.
The options are 42, 17 or 39.
42, 17 or 39 are adjustment seats.
Yeah.
Give me the number again.
42, 17 or 39.
39. I'm gonna go with the odd number. I don't know why, but it feels like maybe it's relevant. 17 or 39. Adjustment.
It's called utjämningsmandat. Utjämning means evening. Like
evening, yeah. So it could be something to create more, like, get more people, like, make sure that it's not only...
I can tell you what it is. It says like this.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
There are utjämningsmandat, adjustment seats, out of the 349 total, used to make the overall result proportional.
The overall result proportional.
Maybe to the amount of people in the country?
No, maybe to the amount of parties and the parties' results. Okay. So maybe what happens is that with the percentage that everybody gets, they get a certain number.
Yeah.
But then
the bigger or smaller party should get more, maybe.
Yeah, so it's not really proportional. I have no idea. I'm trying to logic it out. I don't. My logic does not go all that way. Yeah, it sounds to me like a math problem. Is what I'm trying to say in a very awkward way. But it sounds to me like maybe it's a math problem essentially, and it has to do with how many people are elected in regards to the percentage that they get on the election. I'm gonna go with if you remove 39 from 349, then it's 310, which makes sense. It's a good number for this type of thing. And then that could be all of the elected people, and then you throw in an extra 39. I'm gonna say 39.
That is correct. Well, good guess.
Oh my god, thank you. I took forever, but it worth it. I can't believe I actually gave the correct answer to that one. I thought it was absolutely impossible. Next.
A referendum is a vote where voters can vote directly on a political issue. A consultative referendum need not be binding.
That is interesting. So it's like, you tell us what you think, but we see, no promises. I suppose maybe that's it. I don't know.
Another type of referendum, however, can be binding.
Okay.
Which issues can be the object of a referendum which is binding?
A binding referendum, that has to be, better be important. Okay, so what do we have here?
And these, I think, are examples.
Okay.
1. Amendments to the Constitution.
Oof, yeah, that better be binding.
A new parliament building.
I don't think anybody cares. They already have like 2 and they're only using one of them.
The changeover from left-hand traffic to right-hand traffic.
That is hilarious. That actually happened in Sweden, right? This actually happened. They switched the lanes. Yeah, but okay, so is this serious? Yes, it is serious. It is serious. Imagine if in England tomorrow everybody just switched to the right lane. I mean, just the thought of this must be shocking for some people. So if they had voted on it, yeah, I think would still be on the left lane. I don't think that anybody would vote to change their car and all their driving habits to the other side. No, I think they just complied because they're nice and because they're Swedish and because the government said to do that. Okay, so I don't think that this is that, however much hilarious it would be. And I don't think that it's what's the second one?
Parliament building.
Parliament building also. They did switch the building too, as like who cares? And I don't think people would even go to vote to such referendum, to be honest. But yeah, definitely amendments to the Constitution, I'm gonna say. So, what is it?
It's a good guess, but you are wrong. Amendments to the Constitution
binding
cannot be decided by a referendum alone.
Not alone, but so what is it? What is it?
It is the changeover from left-hand
It
traffic.
is
and it's the only binding referendum we ever had.
Oh my goodness! This is the most interesting
I'm putting
thing.
that as the correct answer, okay, because I knew this one.
That's the most interesting thing ever.
Yeah. And we did it in a day. You know of this, right?
I know, but no, I didn't know that it happened.
It's called...
You decided it on the morning and like...
No, we decided it on that it was going to switch on day H. That's what they call it. And it switched.
The same day.
Entire country, one day, it's like...
Are you joking me? And what about the cars? How did everybody switch their cars? Or how did this...
No, I guess car models came after.
We were just driving with the same car models on the opposite lane for like a whole...
Yeah, what you mean?
Yeah! I don't know, this is just crazy to me.
Maybe we already had Eurospec cars that had the steering wheel on this side.
Okay, here's what makes sense to me. I understand if it happened in a day, meaning that we already decide now that on the 5th of August we're all switching lanes.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Okay, that makes sense. then you get the time to like. I thought it was
But I think that I don't think there was like on 5th of August everybody changes their car as well.
No. They change lanes, but people have the opportunity to change their car. I don't know, just fill it out a little bit. They're psychologically prepared, whatever.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, today is the day.
Sweden switched to right-hand driving on September 3rd, 1967.
Oh wow, that's pretty recent too.
But the referendum was held in 1955.
Now that
sounds... is 12 years later.
See, that makes sense. Yes, I get it.
Why primarily for safety and to harmonize with neighbors.
Yeah.
Over 90% of Swedish cars were already left-hand drive, causing accidents on narrow left-hand roads, while increased international travel made aligning with mainland Europe's right-hand traffic essential.
So it was a
Cars became popular and we wanted to be able to leave.
Exactly. Cars became popular. People were driving around the Nordics. It was already mayhem with different types of cars driving around.
So we were having left-hand drive cars and driving on the road.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, they said, you guys want to switch lanes in 12 years' time. I mean, sure, I can vote about anything to happen in 12 years' time. I can be vegan again in 12 years' time. I can, I can move to Antarctica in 12 years' time.
They updated 360,000 signs.
What?
They had to update 360,000 signs.
Yeah, I mean, they had 12 years. They could do an extra country.
Since 2014, it has been mandatory to hold a vote on the Prime Minister following a parliamentary election.
Okay, so
this is the one we read about previously, I think.
Yeah, so it's not that long ago, actually. It's been since 2014 that they started voting on the Prime Minister.
Yeah, before they only voted on the government.
On the government,
Now they vote separately, I guess.
On the Prime Minister. Okay.
What is required in order to be elected Prime Minister at such a vote?
What is required in order to be requested Prime Minister?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me the options. Maybe to be the leader of the winning
more
party.
Than half of the members of the parliament, at least 175, vote yes.
Okay. Yeah.
That more than half of the members of the parliament do not vote no.
Okay. Yes. Nice.
Extremely confusing.
No, it has to do with
blank votes.
Blank votes.
Yeah. That there are more yes votes than no votes.
More yes votes than no votes. That's good. That's a good one.
That's a logical one, but
that's a logical one. Let's run the scenarios a little bit, and I like these types of stuff. I mean, it's kind of boring, but I like it. But let's run the scenarios a little bit. Okay. In the first case scenario, if you have 175 yes, the second scenario is also automatically happening. So if you have 157 yeses, then you cannot automatically have more than 157 no's at the same time.
Exactly. So if one is true, X is also true.
One is true.
No. If one is, exactly.
Yeah, if one is true, X is also true. But if X is true, one is not automatically true. So you can have, if we have 175 no's, and then we have, if we had 174 no's, and then we have like 10 blanks, and then we have like 160, 140 yeses, then this could actually be a Prime Minister. And that would be a very weak one. One reason could be the blanks. It's not one reason. It's more like what is different between all of those. One thing that is different is the blanks. How are the blanks viewed? And maybe how incentivized you are to throw a blank or not. Another one could be to It's more to like avoid the situation rather than support a situation. So if for some reason people don't agree on who's the government, on who should be government, but completely agree on who should not, then the second one goes
So it's not about actually voting him in. It's about protecting from him doing it on a majority.
Yeah. So I would say the second one for that reason only. In case the parliament doesn't necessarily agree on the you know, in case the parliament just agrees on who should not be a prime minister, but does not necessarily have or government.
Yeah, and it's far different to saying no to somebody, like, hey, no, than to be like, hey, I support him, yes.
Yeah. So recently there maybe, I mean, I can think of one situation where maybe the parliament would agree to not form a government.
Or to not
choose like a certain government.
Prime minister.
Or a prime minister or a government.
There are two separate. This is what we learned. They always have the government vote.
I know, yeah, that's true. This is about the prime minister. This is not about the government. But I mean, I'm just saying that there's a situation that I can think of that the parliament could agree negatively on something, but not positively on something. But I don't know. And then I would say not number one. Number one is a lot, with majority support almost. Not almost, majority support. That's a lot maybe. I'm gonna say either 2 or 3. 3 maybe is a little bit too little. I will say 2.
The more than half of the members do not vote no.
Yeah.
Let me check.
I've never been so much.
The correct answer is X, that more than half of the members cannot vote no. This is the negative parliamentarism principle Sweden uses. You do not need a majority in favor, just not a majority against.
Oh my God, I literal chills right now.
Well done.
Thank you. I'm extremely proud of this answer. This was how long did it take for me to give this answer? Are we running out of cards? Do we need more space?
27 minutes.
27 minutes.
I think that was on the last card.
Worth every second of
it. The previous question was the left-hand drive.
That is amazing. Okay, that was an amazing quiz. That was so much fun. I will say my favorite quiz was the expert quiz. Lots of fun to solve. The in-depth quiz also very much fun. And then the basic quiz was just silly and boring and like just
it was just numbers. It's just like what numbers?
2% for don't hand out those to people. Like this is.
But that is general knowledge that you learn in school. That's like the knowledge that is on the intake test to become a citizen.
This is like the kind of test, annoying school test, but you just have to remember the exact like number or something. This is the parrot stuff that we don't like. We like the cool stuff that you have to like think for 27 minutes. Okay. Well, that was extremely fun. I absolutely loved this. And I don't know, if you're close to the parliament, just pass by and ask for those nice quizzes. Maybe they're gonna give them to you. Or maybe they're gonna call security. I don't know. Let me know what happens. Well, thank you so much for hanging out and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.